Before I started writing this draft of my talk, I did some research on what exactly a TED Talk is, what I wanted to share, what I wanted to teach. It fell under the issue category. This exposes your audience to an issue that they may or may not otherwise know much about. Well, I knew that there were two things I needed to explore that just aren't talked about enough with young people: mental health and alternate career paths. My college journey began in the number 7 international affairs program in the country. I was going to be a politician. I was going to do something big. I was going to change the world, maybe even save it. I laugh thinking back on that because what I've come to realize is that it's not about saving the world. It's about making your corner of it just a little better. There are things out there that they don't tell you, that they don't prepare you for. We're conditioned again and again to think there's only one way to do things. You have to go to school, you have to get a job, you have to follow the path just like everyone else. I realized early on in life that I wanted more. I needed more. And it took everything completely falling apart to realize that. I had to hit rock bottom before I could start to climb my way up in a way that felt good for me, that was sustainable, that suited what I needed to feel supported. And why is that? Well, when I was 18 years old, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder, and my entire life fell apart. It was the second semester of my freshman year of college. A little over a year prior, I had been diagnosed with anxiety and depression, but it was only getting worse, even with increasing the dosage on my medication. I knew there had to be something more there. This was more than anxiety. It was more than depression. I was bedridden. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat on a regular schedule. I didn't go to class. I couldn't even motivate myself to spend time with the people who made me happy. So I started doing research on bipolar disorder. It's genetic and it runs in my family. And as I learned more and more, I saw I was checking every single box. But the issue was that no doctor would even entertain the fact that I had it. It took me 4 tries to find someone who told me I wasn't crazy. You see, that was my biggest fear, being seen as a crazy person, because that's what we see in the media. Whenever I heard about bipolar disorder, I thought of mental institutions, people drugged up to the point of being zombies, white robes, visiting hours, being locked away from the outside world because you couldn't handle it, because they couldn't handle you. When I finally got the diagnosis, I actually laughed because I had known all along. It was all one big, I told you so. I thought the diagnosis would solve the problems I was facing, but it wasn't anywhere near over. I had graduated high school with a 4.1 GPA on my way to one of the best schools in the country, and I felt like a lot was expected of me. I had always been a high achiever, someone who was involved in a million things, that girl who excelled. It was a huge part of my identity. But this diagnosis, this path to recovery, didn't lend itself to excelling. I ultimately transferred schools halfway through my college career, and my only job was to make it through each day. I commuted from home, I went to work, I went to class, rinse and repeat. It wasn't fulfilling, but it was what I needed to do to get better. Now, I'm not going to make this a whole sob story because there's a lot of joy to come. What they don't tell you is that the transition from college to the real world isn't sunshine and rainbows. Not everyone knows what they want to do. Not everyone has an easy pathway from their major to a job. I didn't even have internships on my resume because I had changed majors so many times. And when I wasn't working 40 hours a week, I was at home fighting every day to stay alive and get better. I did actually find a job rather quickly, but it was just that, a job. There wasn't any sign of upward mobility in sight, and I wasn't doing something that brought me joy. In fact, it tore me down so much that I actually ended up right back where I started. Rock bottom, crying every day, feeling lost, scared of myself. I was back in a place where I thought I was crazy, that I would never have a normal life, that I would never be able to do the things other people get to do. Find a good job, find love, build a life that lights you up. But I refused to let that be my story. In January of 2020, I quit my job. I gave them 1 week's notice, which did not go over well, but I needed to focus on staying alive, on going through this healing process again. What I learned was that I would never be a good employee. I don't like taking direction. I like to challenge authority, and I'm definitely guilty of thinking that my way is the best way. And that's when I found freelancing. Now, I'm sure most of you have an Instagram account, but did you know that there's an entire side of the platform you're not seeing where people are building multi-6 and 7-figure businesses? Yeah, you heard that right. People are making hundreds of thousands of dollars on Instagram, and I'm one of them. Now, this didn't happen overnight. When I started, I had no idea what I was doing, and I had no clue how much potential for growth there was. My philosophy is this: if you have 2 thumbs and an Instagram, you can start a business. It's all you need. No fancy systems, not a single client, not even a business plan. 2 thumbs and an Instagram. What I do is called Instagram engagement and lead generation. Translation: I support women entrepreneurs in organically growing their audience, building brand awareness, and converting conversations to cash in their DMs. And the most fun part of it all, no one knows it's me. My team and I actually pretend to be our clients. Whenever people ask for the easy explanation of what I do, I say that I log into my client's account, pretend to be them, and sell their stuff. Most of the time, their jaws drop. For a while, a lot of people doubted me, and I'm sure they still do. People have asked me about my little business, and I can understand why it looks like that. I have just about 2,800 followers, and when you see that number, I'm sure you wouldn't guess that a multi-6-figure company sits behind it. I launched my business in May of 2020. By September, I was making consistent 5K months and had a team of 2 under me. By my 1-year anniversary, I had hired 2 more people and hit my first 10K month. 6 months later, I had a team of 6 and it was 20K a month. This past month, I hit 30K. And it all started with 2 thumbs and an Instagram. But this is not a story about fancy numbers. It's a story of redemption, of fighting every day to prove and feel that you're not crazy. And then doing just about the craziest thing anyone can think of: starting a business on Instagram in the midst of a global pandemic. So, how did I get here? How is this my reality? Starting a business has taught me more about myself than any life experience, including my bipolar diagnosis. You have to confront every demon you've ever faced, and you have to bet on yourself when no one else is betting on you. I may be a bad employee, but I'm a really freaking good boss. I know how to manage people, I know how to rectify a bad situation, and I know how to schmooze and sell. You see, this kind of work calls you to sell yourself more than anything else. In a saturated market where everyone is trying to make a quick buck, you need to figure out how to position yourself as an expert. And that comes with a very important realization. You are the secret sauce. It's not what you sell or how you sell it. It's your personality that converts someone to a paying client. My motto back in college was crazy is a concept. And it's what I told myself day after day as I fought to simply make it through. I've always been told that I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, I'm too much, I'm extra. You get the picture. But I've found a line of work that celebrates all of these things. My little business has grown into a full agency that employs 6 women and has served over 150 women worldwide, including Mexico, the UK, Canada, Australia, Norway, Ireland, Jamaica, the Philippines, India, and Denmark. That's pretty freaking cool. I never thought I'd have a life, and now I have the life of my dreams. This is the life. A job where you can be anyone you want, a career where you get to choose the trajectory and where you don't have to prove to anyone what you deserve. The choice to spend your day how you want it, where you want it, and with who you want it. It's not easy, and it's full of many, many learning experiences. But that's what makes it such a wildly beautiful ride. So why am I talking to you about all of this? What's the point? 2 thumbs and an Instagram. I want to show you that there's another option. There's another way. If the 9-to-5 life isn't for you, if your brain works differently, if you have a disability, if your mental health has stood in the way of your success before, you still have options. 2 thumbs and an Instagram. You don't have to make a decision today, and you shouldn't, but it's something to think about. And I'm sure it's not an option anyone has told you about before. One philosophy that gets me through each and every day is the Jesuit principle of being a person for and with others. When we share our struggles with other people for the purpose of leaving a positive impact, we are being a person for others. When we recognize another person's struggles and validate that their reality is as real as anyone else's, we are being a person with others. You can't be there for people unless you're on the ground going through it with them. And that's why I feel sharing my story allows me to do. So what are you going to do with this? I want you to take stock of what's working for you and what's not. Are you actually doing what you want? Choosing to say no to what doesn't light you up? Are you trusting the process? Do you know that's what meant for you will find you? Do you understand that your energy is precious and that you should use it to build a sustainable lifestyle on your terms? All of this success I've had, not just in my business, but in my recovery journey, has ultimately taught me that it's all about self-love. A few months back, I was in a show, and the character I played had one very poignant line. It's weird, isn't it? Love, it's kind of like being mad. Being in love with yourself does sound insane, but it's the most rewarding thing in the world when you can find that love for yourself and sit with it. Self-love isn't selfish. It's what we need to survive. Thank you.